Hello, hello, and welcome back to Danganronpa Labs. To what I think will be the final part of Danganronpa Labs. I do think we're getting to the end of the story. So I do think this is the end, but basically last time what happened, at first I had chosen to go with Canon and Lyle, and I got a bad ending. So then I went back and I chose to go with Missy and Forte, and we learned a bunch of weird things. Like Pandora had a twin who is likely the person who's Eve. Zero is, his name is Akihiko. He's somewhat related to Sei. And when we went with them, we heard, a body discovery announcement. So they ran down the stairs and they found Cannon stabbed in the back. And then a chandelier fell on top of Missy and Forte, killing both of them. Lyle was killed too. Apparently Sei had murdered everybody to try to escape this killing game and get the ultimate prize, which is crazy. But yeah, that's basically what happened. And now we're here. We somehow went back in time while retaining all the memories from before. And this time we chose to go with Canon and Lyle. But this time, when we got to the redacted door, we have the code because it was written on Cyrus's folder that we saw when we went with Missy and Forte. So now we have the code and we can go into this room. So we're going to find out what's going on. Anyway, that was probably not the best summary of what happened. But yeah, that's basically what happened. I am enjoying this game immensely. I just want to take a second to say, after the first chapter was still a bit for me, but after chapter 2 and this chapter 3, they're really good. I'm really enjoying this game a lot now. Just wanted to put that out there. 251110. What? The code. I think it's 251110. I repeat. What? Should I try it? It's not like we have any other leads. Are you nuts? No! Why not? Echo, you say you're not involved, but knowing the code to a keypad on a floor we've never been to is pushing it, don't you think? This has to be some kind of trick. You're setting us up for failure in that room. No. I don't know how to explain how I know. It's just, I have this strange memory. When our group was splitting up, I went with Missy and Forte, and we went to Cyrus's room. It was there that I saw writing of 6 digits. Yeah, right. That's awfully convenient information, don't you think? We only split up once. Where did you possibly find the time and means to do such a thing? I wish I could tell you, but I don't know. What happened earlier doesn't make a lick of sense to me either. I mean, there was a body discovery announcement, and I think it was you. Stop! Lyle's voice cut the air. Echo, I don't understand you. First you turn everyone against Art, then you do everything to deny Ashley's actions against Cyrus, and now you miraculously know the code to this room we've never seen? Just, what on earth are you up to? Give me a reason to believe you're not involved. What's stopping me from believing you're all part of the act, from not having any remarkable talent to sabotaging the trials at every which way? Hang on. What do you have to gain by behaving like this? That's enough! You really think I wanted this? Look, I'm just as frustrated as you are. It was never my intention to turn anyone against Art. The circumstance we were in demanded a vote to be cast lest everyone suffer the consequence. You really believe I'm an implicit factor in this game? Don't think for a second I wanted any of this to happen. I'm still at a complete loss of how I'm even here to begin with. You really think I wanted my best friend to go through the emotional turmoil she went through when she found out that I was in this game? You think I wanted her to die protecting me? We're all in pain, and suffering isn't a competition. So I'm sorry that I don't have the answers to any of your questions, but I'm doing my best to combat these desperate feelings. After the second trial, I saw how hurt everyone looked. Not just for my sake, but because we just found ourselves in something horrible and inescapable. Never asked for this ultimate student nonsense. And maybe it was selfish to want to protect Ashley, but what did you expect? You wanted to protect Art, didn't you? Arguing like this isn't going to solve anything. I don't even know if the code will work, much less know what's in the room to begin with. And I don't expect you to trust me with it, but it's the only thing we have at the moment. Lyle let out a defeated sigh. I'm sorry too. I'm just trying to find a reason why the only person who gave me the time of day had to leave so quickly. Oh, I feel for Lyle. I really do. I understand where his anger is coming from. He's grieving. It's only been like 2 days. And he's like, his grief is very much stuck in the anger stage of grief. And he's very much there. So I understand him, and I feel for him. I feel sympathy for him. I understand why he's so angry. Why he's lashing out. It's hard. It's hard. His voice dropped to a low whisper. I feel I let Art down. Messed up big time. He was misled by me, thinking Pandora was suspicious. But she was suspicious. We now know that. It's my fault, huh? Lyle was no different from me. He was trapped with the impression that his friend's downfall was a direct consequence from his actions. No, it's not as simple as that. I won't speak on behalf of Art, but given the threat of danger, I'm sure he just wanted to keep everyone safe. And it turns out that Pandora is suspicious, so... None of us could have known we would end up in this scenario, and Art, least of all, would truly want to cause harm. He strangled Pandora, though. No, there's no denying that. He did what he thought was right to try and end the game. It's hard to say what's right and wrong. We can only move forward with our best judgment learned from what we've experienced. We have to try, at least, right? I'm tired. Oh, can't sleep. Whether we try to be cautious or take a risk and test the rules, the situation ends up being the same. We're still trapped. Still trapped and doomed to the responsibility of our past actions. We can't change anything that has happened. Brandon stared at the floor absently. Yeah, but there's nothing left to try but this. I just hope you can trust me on this. All right. Try the code. I nodded and approached the keypad. What was it again? I don't remember what it was. What was it again? I don't remember. Oh no. 25 5 1 1 1 0. The keypad accessed the code, and the sound of a latch being released clicked out. Worked. Another crackling in the air interrupted me as I grasped at the door handle. Shoot. Did Zero catch us in the act? My heart was racing. Did I accidentally set something off? I paused, and the three of us stood with bated breath.
Hey, just checking in with you all. Having fun exploring the new digs? I bet you are. I have 2 more fun little gifts for you folks, Forte and Say. Dear Salmon Song for the former, and for the latter. Nothing. You're kind of insignificant, so such a gift suits the person, yeah. Enjoy this weird tune if you can. It's all in German, so it's nonsense to me.
Zero's voice dropped out, and the tune carried on. A gentle, haunting piano accompanied the droning, soft vocals. I couldn't comprehend what was being said, but the atmosphere the song created was unnerving. Oh, Zero didn't say anything about us entering this room. That aside, neither Lyle nor I were recipients of Zero's gift. That's a good thing. Come on, Echo. Let's see what's in here already. Oh, right. Shaking at the thought, I pushed the door open with a slow creak. What the heck is this? Upon shutting the door, the ominous song ceased its crooning within the room. We found ourselves in a hexagonal, eerie room with full-length capsule-like objects creating the centerpiece. Standing workstations lined the walls corresponding to the capsule objects on each wall. Miscellaneous monitors and controls filled each section. What is this place? We stepped further in, our footsteps echoing through the chamber. If I had to guess, considering our killing game scenario, one would say there ought to be a cold room to store bodies. You think this is where they are? Well, it would make sense since this is the place was hidden behind layers of precautionary security. Though it's not a very conventional design, if that's the case. I inched cautiously toward one of the large capsules. There was a small display monitor at the foot of the closed capsule that read, "Stable," in bright green letters. Spotting a small viewing window at the end of the capsule, I made my way over and peeked in. That's not Pandora. I staggered back at the sight. I recalled seeing this person's visage. I was with Missy and Forte. What is it? Lyle ran to the window, standing at the opposite side of me. His eyes widened. Is that Pandora? The document says otherwise. Same last name, though. Annan was holding a medical chart that was hanging near the stable indicator. It's her. My voice was barely a whisper. I stared at her, my vision twisted as I felt my heart start racing. The other announcer Forte had discovered, along with Zero's true identity. The other announcer behind the killing game was right in front of me. Lyle paused and took a closer look at the person in the capsule. He took out the secret note he had been holding onto and inspected it further. Without a word, he started unlatching the capsule. What are you doing? Are you going to take that person out of the capsule? It's the person behind Eve. There's a pin on her shawl that looks just like the Eve announcer's symbol, and the symbol on this secret note. She could be dangerous. What if she attacks or something? Whatever. There's 3 of us and 1 of her. Stay alert. The final latch clicked and cool air rushed out from the containment unit. We watched in awe as the glass automatically rose. She looked as if she were asleep, a steady, barely noticeable rise and fall of her chest indicating her shallow breath. Then, her eyelids twitched. Oh my god. Her voice was hoarse but familiar. The formerly disembodied voice of Eve was now given a definite face. She reached out, but before she could do anything, Lyle stopped her. Hey, what are you doing? Please, I can't bear being in there a second longer. She murmured wearily as she struggled with enormous effort to pull herself up. Come on, Lyle, give me a hand. Lyle grumbled in dissatisfaction, but helped anyway, guiding Eve out of her containment. She crumpled to the floor, completely fatigued. What does that say? Attention. Oh, since it's in French, I can't read it. Are you okay? I'm... She could hardly shake out a response. I remembered. Here, if you're hungry. Reaching into my pocket, I offered her the jammed Danish I had saved earlier. She generously accepted it, taking only a few bites before stopping altogether. Oh, Pandora, what have I done to you? A blank, somber stare glazed over her tearful eyes. You're Gaia Espere, right? How do you know? I don't know how to explain. I still don't know how to reasonably describe the strange occurrence I had experienced earlier that caused me to know things I shouldn't. Wait, what? Who is this? She's... It's okay. As Echo says, I'm Gaia Espere, Pandora's twin sister, who couldn't save her. Twin sister? That explained the strikingly similar The striking similarity to Pandora. Save her? Does that mean this note was from you in an attempt to contact her? What was your role in the involvement of this game? Hang on. You wanted to save her? I thought since you're part of the game that, I don't know, you were working against us. With a heavy sigh, Gaia sat herself up against the base of the containment unit. You have a lot of questions. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Welcome to the testing chambers. It's a pleasure to meet you all, Echo, Lyle, and Cannon. Huh? We gave Gaia some time to regain her strength as she cautiously savored the pastry I had given her. She sat herself in a chair at the small workstation as we idly waited. Lyle was noticeably impatient, Cannon still and unreadable. So, who are you in the context of this game? Unlike Zero, who controls many aspects of the killing game, I am just an overseer. We're able to oversee the entirety of the game from our captivity. Whoever is placed in one of these incubators has their consciousness removed from their body and incorporated into the technology of the facility. I was never originally part of this, but seeing as this containment unit has anonymous framework into collecting data from our unconscious and biopsychology, I was able to wedge my way through the basic functions. But I'm concerned. It was Zero's request to open the foyer doors. I think he wanted you to find me and this room. I'm afraid he has something in store for me. She shuddered at the thought. If what Gaia said was true, even she wasn't safe. Is this a farce? A bunch of lies to make us believe you're not a threat? I'm sorry, I can't provide more details to convince you. You'll just have to take my word for it. In that case, where is Zero? His body is in one of the other units. However, he is in much worse condition. Gaia pointed at one of the other units on the opposite end of the hexagonal centerpiece. Lyle and I walked over to the unit that was lit. The screen displayed critical in red. It was as she said. The visage of Zero was in the unit, but his hair and clothing were different, just like in the student profile for Akihiko. It's him. Akihiko Quartz, otherwise known as the ultimate radio host. Zero, the despair program, infected version of Akihiko, has control over malicious threats. I ceded control over general facilities, such as the infirmary, in an attempt to make contact with participants. That note, it was Pandora's room gift. I composed the note for Pandora, and whoever could recognize the other emblem. Whoever could recognize Zero's, or rather, Akihiko Quartz's emblem. But I haven't had any luck, and I'm not sure Pandora figured it out either. Huh? Gaia doesn't know who the other insider is? Sei's profile was attached with this Akihiko's after all. Wait a minute. I heard Cannon's hushed muttering. Well, what are we waiting for? Huh? Why don't we just release him from the unit and be done with this game? That is not advised. That is just Akihiko's body. The one operating the game is Zero, a forked consciousness of Akihiko that has been merged with a despair program. I don't know how Akihiko's real consciousness is faring. I worry he's too far gone. If we release him, it's possible Zero could malfunction, but it could also kill the host's conscious. So what? A small price to pay for the hell he's put us through. No, please, it's not him. It's the fault of the despair program, the preservation project, the ultimate prize. Gaia's eyes were dark. All of this, a charade conducted with appalling precision for the purpose of the ultimate prize, is a complete and utter hoax. It's a hoax? I recalled what I heard earlier when I found myself back in the group split decision. The ultimate prize is freedom, right?
The ultimate prize. You don't want it.
What is the ultimate prize? Not a second after my hushed question, a booming clunk sounded throughout the halls. The lights went out. No!
Darkness. Lyle's gift, direct from his fears to you. Only murder will lift the darkness.
The ominously short announcement cut, and we were left to wallow in the void. The room was blackened in black velvet. I couldn't even see my own hand in front of my face. What? How was anyone meant to see anything in the darkness, let alone do something as calculated as murder? Calm yourselves. You wouldn't have cut all the power if his former body is still in the containment unit. Are you sure? Wait, that aside, Lyle, Cannon, are you okay? There was no response from either of them. However, I heard a sharp, haggard breath beside me. It sounded like he was having a fit, his voice tight. Lyle, are you okay? It's dark. And hang in there. A flash briefly bled through the darkness. My eyes adjusted to the brightness, and I could see the silhouette of Gaia standing some feet away from me, holding the light. This should help. A flashlight and an emergency kit below my capsule. Yes, thank you. I took the flashlight and directed the beam toward the wall, allowing the light to bounce and disperse itself for a little more illumination. Come on, deep breaths. His breaths were broken, but he was making an effort to control his breathing. I tried to comfort him, rubbing his trembling back as he tried to steady himself. As Gaia and I gave Lyle time to recoup, I noticed something strange. Wait, where's Cannon? Cannon! I called out to her but got no response. Did she get lost? Damn it. She has to be up to no good. As much as I couldn't help but jump to the same conclusion, I felt there had to be another reason for her disappearance. Don't say that. As much as we all hated to see the truth of the first trial, Cannon still helped us. And she even gave me the group photo after she took after Ash's trial. She probably went to look for the other three. How could she possibly see in the pitch darkness? Why didn't she just sit still and do nothing like she always does? I can't say. I just hope she doesn't do anything outrageous. Sure, but there's no telling what could happen to her, though. A body discovery announcement? Really?
A body has been discovered on the
Sorry, I keep doing that. Every time I'm like, oh, it's Monokuma, I have to do the Monokuma voice. Sorry.
A body has been discovered on the trial grounds.
That was fast. Just as Zero said, the lights returned after the announcement of a body discovery.
You will be granted a period of investigation, and then we'll begin our class trial.
No way. I didn't want to believe it, but the game carried on to take another victim. I gulped. Gaia, do you know who was killed? Gaia shifted nervously. I cannot see anymore. After being removed from the containment unit, I can only do as much as you participants can. That is, until I gain control from the systems here. Gaia quickly made herself busy at the workstation, familiarizing herself with the programs once more. This can't be happening. So we have to go up there. I don't know what we'll find, but another death. What else could occur in this damn place? I didn't care for the indignation of his tone, but I was right. At this point, it would be foolish to expect anything less than death. However, I just wanted to know that whoever remained was still safe. Let's go. We should try to rendezvous with whoever's left. What about her? We can't trust that she doesn't try anything funny. Gaia was deep in thought, her attention fixed on the workstation near Zero's. Go ahead. I've been investigating this group for some time. There's still much to learn from here. I'll do what I can to store up information. But don't worry about me. I'll be on my own, but I know better than to let my guard down. Gaia was focused on the workstation, data filling the monitors with lines and lines of who knows what. It didn't seem like she would be moving soon, so Lyle and I left her to her work. Okay, be careful. Thank you. Lyle and I darted out of the testing chambers, making haste for the elevator. Come on! What is it? The elevator isn't working. We can't wait for the elevator. Let's just head up the stairs. Hurry! She better not be conniving with Zero after all. Lyle growled to himself, but I didn't reply. It was impossible for me to say whether or not Gaia was truly on our side or not, but after freeing her from captivity, I had a feeling she wasn't hostile. Sighed. Regardless, there was more immediately pressing matters to attend to. Making an about face, we rushed through the hall and back up the stairs. Returning to the foyer, we were met with a troubling sight. Missy, no! Forte killed her. He did it. Missy! As we closed in on her, the first thing I noticed was a large slash that was cut into her chest. Her drooping body was held upright against the elevator door jamb between the elevator cab and the foyer, preventing the doors from shutting. Shit! We rushed to her side, all while maintaining a cautious distance from her unmoving body. Wait a second. So there's someone is in the trial grounds and there's more than one. I reached for her glasses and noticed her bracelet. Lyle, before we jump to conclusions. I was concerned, of course, but I drew Lyle's attention to her wrist. Oh, she's not dead. The small bracelet was still rose gold. Phew. She's not the victim, but what happened to her? And why did the body discovery announcement go off? She's alive, right? Get her up and let's find out. Lyle kneeled down, trying to wake her up from whatever daze she was in, as I returned her glasses. Her eyes fluttered and she groaned, reaching toward the deep cut in her chest. Oh my god. Missy. Oh. Echo. And Lyle. Come with me. Her eyes snapped open and she leapt into the elevator, clicking the button for the trial grounds. We gave another rumble. We gave chase and rumbled to the requested floor. Upon arrival, we were met with another gruesome encounter. Oh, never mind, Forte is dead. Say, she did it. Forte's body was covered in blood, and Say, stained with the liquid as well, was sitting on the floor in an emotionless daze, staring at him. She said nothing as the three of us surrounded Forte's body. His bracelet was tinged with the sickening bright pink color that indicated his death status, as if the pools of blood didn't indicate it clearly enough. What the hell happened when we split up? Astonishment painted Missy's face as she took in the scenery. We whipped around to glare at the most damning person, the one drenched in blood. What? Say's detached expression told us nothing, or perhaps everything. Sorry, I had no idea. But you'd better not be lying. I'm not. Missy flinched and tenderly tried to cover her wound. Investigate as you wish, I won't stop you. I need to clean this up. Missy tottered through the elevator and into the infirmary on the other side, leaving us with the victim and Say. So, would you care to share anything, Say? Didn't think so. This is a mess. No kidding. Is it really up to us to investigate? We're just about the furthest away from the crime. How could we begin to infer what happened 4 floors above? It's only up to us. Does it look like either Say or Missy are going to fess up? They're covered in blood. Yeah, you're right. At the very least, we were together with Gaia, so that solidifies our alibi somewhat. Having said that, Cannon was still nowhere to be found. Could it be... Then let's get to it. We're investigating what's happening. I thought this... It looks like he was stabbed multiple times before the culprit plunged the dagger firmly in one spot. Surrounding the dagger stuck in his body, Forte had several tears in his shirt. exposing the lacerations in his abdomen underneath. The lacerations were noticeably clustered around the abdominal area. Forte's body was facing up, a familiar dagger stuck in his abdomen. That's Darling's dagger. If this scenario were like the scenario when I went with Missy to investigate, I can only assume the dagger came from her possession. Why did Missy herself suffer a huge slash? Else to investigate. Behind Forte's head was a sizable pool of blood. It's possible he fell backward. The back of his head split from impact. That was upsetting. Nothing else? Nothing else? Sei was motionless and expressionless. She didn't dare to look at anything except the body that lay before her. I didn't know where to begin with questioning her. I didn't want to suspect her, but it was difficult to think otherwise. She didn't appear to make any attempt in hiding her involvement either. I stammered for a minute before giving up entirely. So what's the big deal, Sei? Saying nothing just makes you more suspicious, you know. Well, it certainly doesn't make her any less suspicious either. Sure, but blood makes a compelling case in favor of suspicion of murder. What's going on? Thanks for nothing. Any thoughts? Just the one, that Sei is the culprit. Seems plainly clear enough, but does that seem like something she would do? After what we've just been through with her, yeah, it kinda does. Like, we literally she killed us twice, you know, like... Well, who knows? It's likely that while the other group was investigating, something occurred that provoked her. Oh, I figured you might know a little bit more about her since you two have been talking lately. It's nothing like that. She doesn't talk much. It was usually just to think aloud to her. And for how she might behave, I can't put a pin in her. So excluding the obvious potential culprit, I'm up to a creek. It was only understandable that the both of us were stumped. We'll see what changes when Cannon shows up. Dead or alive, that is. Okay. Continue. Look at here. The scene was gruesome. Despite that, there didn't seem to be much of note. Did you find anything? Say I even have half of an idea of what happened would be a stretch. There's very little to draw conclusions from, well, except for Lyle and I looked at Sei. Forte's body, Sei's bloody state, in an essentially locked room. Couldn't be more straightforward. I can't believe this. Is there even a victim report? Maybe if we return to the foyer, we'll find one printed from the kiosk. I'd like to see the victim report as well. I'm displeased to say that I'm unaware of what happened here. Missy returned to the trial grounds from the infirmary, a gauze dressing covering her inflicted wound. As Missy scanned the bloody scene once more, her downcast gaze paused to meet Sei's. Sei, why don't we get cleaned up? You're being awfully casual with the culprit. Missy didn't respond. She offered her hand to Sei, who stiffly reached up to receive it. The two of them left the crime scene without a word. Were we supposed to stop them? Well, it's not like they'd get very far. Ugh, I don't even know where to start on how strange this all is. Let's just get down to the foyer and find the victim report. There's no use standing around a dead body. Zero probably has to clean this place up for the trial anyway. Nodded. Lyle started toward the elevator as I glanced at Forte's body one last time. We took the elevator back down to the foyer once more. Arriving at the foyer, Lyle went straight for the main kiosk. I stepped out to follow, but stopped at a familiar sight. A familiar photograph of Darling was on the floor. It had a small puncture at the top of it. Huh? I've seen this before. It was the same photograph Missy received for her special gift, but this time I wasn't with her when she received it. However, I noticed that the wall was near the elevator had a similarly small puncture that matched the photograph. Could it be? The two punctures in the wall and the photograph could be indicative of when Missy pinned the photo to the wall with Darling's dagger like last time. But if the photo was on the floor, the puncture is in the wall, and the dagger is in a different place, someone must have taken the dagger out of the wall. What did it mean, if it meant anything at all? Hey, Echo! The victim report is over here. Sorry, coming. I hustled over to Lyle as he waved the postcard-sized black sheet. It's student victim. The victim's body was discovered on the trial grounds. The estimated time of death is 1:45. That's it? What, is that it? You're telling me. This is completely useless. It doesn't even say the cause of death. Yeah, it's all dodgy. I wonder if Gaia had something to do with manipulating the report. Think she had something to do with it? Well, I'm not ruling out the possibility. While Gaia allegedly lost her overseer visibility, it might be possible that she had the capability of manipulating the report from the workstation. I grumbled at the thought of another suspicious act. Oh, that reminds me. Hannon is still absent. Hope she's okay. She must be. If she were dead, another victim report would have turned. It's not very comforting. After a brief discussion about the victim report, Missy and Say emerged from the living quarters, meeting us in the foyer. Expression remained as somber as before. Missy's eyes were shifting with unease. Two of them might have cleaned up the mess seen before, but whatever was going on through their minds continued to darken their faces. The trial might start any minute now. Let's use our time wisely to get information out of those two. Missy, are you all right? I'll survive. Unfortunately, the cut wasn't too deep. That's a relief. What happened? To be honest, I haven't the foggiest. I can hardly even recall how I ended up where I did. Start from the top. What did your group do when we split up? We visited Cyrus's room as a group to gather information. I used the dagger pommel to knock the doorknob off and unlatch the lock. Inside, we found files about the preservation project, class dossier detailing our backgrounds, and some floor plans for the area you visited. After exhausting the files of information, we visited the trial grounds, thinking we could confront the one administering this game. However, Zero was nowhere to be found. We had hit a dead end. Figures. Whoa. Missy's story lined up with striking similarly to what she did when I explored the main floor with her and Forte. If this was true, it was likely I knew exactly what information was detailed, thanks to the strange occurrence I experienced. While we were idling in the trial grounds, the motives directed at Forte and Say came into play. Forte had a bit of a sorrowful look about him when he heard the song, and Say, she got nothing. We hit a dead end. We searched the most damning places we could in our area, and yet nothing cropped up. That said, I decided to employ what I learned about Say from the files. She has some connections to Zero. Say knows Zero. But yeah, the only one who knew about Say and Zero were the ones who stayed in the foyer and investigated Cyrus's confidential information. Yes, I pleaded for her to share what she knew, that she would admit it for the sake of escaping of our enclosure. But rather than assisting, it appears she snuck the dagger from my possession and lashed out at me. Say, attacked you? Afraid so. I must have said something wrong to provoke her. At that point, all I can recall is toppling back from the sudden offense as Forte put himself between me and Sei. She made a threat to harm herself, directing the dagger at herself, after which Forte made a move to take the dagger. Seeing as she's unharmed, it was a false alarm. I probably hit my head or something, because I must have blacked out until you two came. Missy trailed off. It was discomforting seeing her so unsure. As far as your admission goes, Sei was the last one wielding the dagger. The very same one that is planted in Forte's body right now. It's correct. There doesn't seem to be any conclusion here, is there? This is essentially a locked room murder with only one possible culprit. It would be difficult to contest otherwise. I just wouldn't be able to sit with myself if I really did cause her to spiral this far. Her voice cracked with remorse. I wanted to reassure her that it wasn't her fault, but I didn't want to lie and let everyone down. The situation was getting more and more bleak by the minute. By the way, where is Cannon? We wish we could tell you. Looks like you didn't see her crawling up around here either. She disappeared while we were investigating beyond the foyer doors. Can't say where she ran off to, though. See, her absence during all this is quite disconcerting. Not to mention, I don't seem to have my revolver in my possession anymore. She reached into her inner coat pockets and came up short. You have got to be kidding. So the revolver was missing. That, along with Cannon's absence, was cause for concern. What did you two learn in the sequestered floor below us? Well, the rooms below are a trophy room and testing chambers. We didn't explore the trophy room. From the outside look of it, it was just a display area for hunting game. However, we found the physical bodies of Zero and Eve, or Akihiko Quartz and Gaia Espede, in the testing chambers. Oh, so you've learned their identities as well. Yeah, you don't seem surprised. Those two students' profiles were also in the class dossier. Why they were included when they weren't participants is beyond me. You'd think that kind of information would be better hidden. Other than that, we didn't find much else of note. I see. And none of you were near the crime scene as well? No. When the blackout occurred, we were immobilized, stuck in the testing chambers until the lights returned. There was a blackout? I had no idea. I must have been hit when I was in a daze. Oh, interesting. So this attack started before the lights turned off. It was really quick that the body discovery announcement happened so fast after what was I saying? It happened so fast after the lights went out. I can't help but think I caused a snowball effect with Sei, resulting in Forte's death. She grumbled under her breath. She was visibly trying to wrap her head around what we learned. After hearing about the details of Missy's side of events, things were getting more and more tangled up. Sei, are you okay? Did you get hurt or anything? No, I'm fine. You're fine? Sei nodded. That's good to hear. Hi. There. Well, you're safe. That's always good news. So she came out of that mess completely unscathed. Unlike Missy, who received a pretty nasty scar, and unlike Cannon, who was completely missing. What's going on? Do you have anything to say about being at the crime scene? No. To be crystal clear what happened there. You say that, but... Sei closed her eyes and turned away, ending the conversation promptly. I couldn't bring myself to believe it. But what? There was nothing more to be said about this, is there? She's asking for this. There shouldn't even be a trial for something as clear as this. I just don't want to jump to any hasty conclusions, okay? We might suffer the consequence of a poor decision if we go to the most obvious. I had to be careful. Trial was our only chance to clear the confusion even if it did look as clear as day. Echo, a word. After talking to Missy and Say, Lyle and I shuffled off for a sidebar. I wonder what could have put everyone in such a precarious situation. Never mind that. We have a very clear culprit here, don't you agree? If we point out who it is right away, the answers will come spilling out. I got the hiccups now. I don't know if it's as simple as you think it is. Don't get all contemplative of me. Look, it's dangerous to make assumptions. I don't want to suffer needless consequences if we can help it. I get that. But don't discount a healthy suspicion. There's no use in blindly following someone's word and word alone. Especially when one's adrenaline starts messing with their perception of the situation. Facts can get muddled up. Agreed. You've experienced it personally. Lyle and I were on the same page. Although our approaches were different, the only thing we had going forward was our intuition. We have to put our heads together. We won't get anywhere if we don't work together. I hope we can count on you for help. Likewise. But I can't promise anything. Where on earth is Cannon, though? Last I recall, she has been acting a little worrisome since last night. And I don't think it helped her frustrations that you tried to take her camera. Lyle shot me a dark look for a second before casting his gaze under heavy eyelids. She's not the most trustworthy, okay? Running around doing who knows what. Though I shouldn't stir the pot, I suppose. Sighed. I couldn't disagree with Lyle's stance, but Cannon did make an attempt to cheer me up somewhat. I didn't flat out accuse Lyle. I couldn't help but think her behavior was the result of me rejecting her photograph.
It's that time, folks. Class trial time. The elevator will take you all to the courtroom once everyone has entered. Not that there are much of you left.
The four of us sulked into the elevator once more, the doors sliding to a close as we anxiously stood by whatever discoveries we would make in the courtroom. We stood in the elevator cab, unmoving. Geez, what's going on this time? The doors slid open once more. Cannon crept into the elevator. The doors finally closed, and the elevator began to move. She was alive, thankfully. Cannon! Where the hell have you been? We didn't hear a single breath from her. Her silence was deafening. She faced away from the rest of us, completely unreadable. Cannon was alive after all. But her behavior after last night and her absence during this whole mess was worrisome. Cannon, I whispered, but she didn't react at all. Cannon made a haunting re-entry. Given what we knew about a revolver gone missing and Cannon's disappearance from the testing chambers moments before the body announcement. Was I too late? Was this my fault? You didn't turn. Cannon, I was cold to you last night. You don't have to apologize. I ought to be the one who's sorry. Cannon's voice was hushed. Huh? But you don't have anything to be sorry for. I'm the one who tore your well-intentioned photo in half. Cannon? What'd she mean? I ought to be the one who's sorry. The atmosphere was disquieting. No one said a word. We stoically reserved all our inquiries for the upcoming trial. Chapter 4. Endless and unfamiliar. I'm gonna keep going. In chapter 4. I thought there was just 3 chapters. I'm so confused. Another visit to the trial grounds. Every trace of the crime scene had been removed, as if nothing happened. However, I still saw the faint phantom image of blood painting the floor burn the back of my eyes. The 5 of us stepped in warily, footsteps echoing in the chamber as we habitually navigated to our respective stands in silence. Another trial. When we split up, our groups had discovered a slew of information that attempted to explain our captivity. But in spite of making these discoveries that we thought would help us prevent further danger, another one of our group has fallen. It is unfortunate that I must greet you like this, but welcome back to the trial grounds. A fuzzy hologram of Gaia appeared before us.
Oh, you're here too? Sure, whatever. Showing your face isn't really gonna change anything, you know.
Gaia, do you know anything about what happened to Forte? I can't say that I do, but please, consider my presence an asset to your discussion. Should you need any inquiries answered, I will do my best. Jeez, this one has been nothing but useless. If anything, I would posit that Zero will, at the very least, respect my testimony. What makes you think you can pull the wool over our eyes? What if you two are colluding?
Ha! You give her too much credit. At this point, she's nothing but an obstacle. Eve, or rather known her now as Gaia, knows zilch. I'm the one who knows for certain whether you'll all be voting correctly or incorrectly. After all, what kind of a judge would I be if I didn't know? Freeing Gaia meant stripping her of her prize.
Huh?
But we're not here to talk about that. So, let's get this show on the road. Let's get this show on the road, bro.
Oh, I ran out of water.
Let's go over the rules, shall we? You're all on trial to figure out who the culprit is of today's heinous crime. The rules are as follows. Discuss, discover, and determine who the culprit is among your group.
Okay, I'm not reading this again. We all know what happens. Goodbye.
Our victim today is Forte Solo, the ultimate opera singer. It's a real shame you guys never got to hear that bass baritone voice of his. C'est la vie. So, you know what to do. I'm sure you'll get this done with real quick.
Zero chuckled to himself after his brisk opening statement. We all stared at each other from the circumference of the stands, our eyes locking onto the most suspicious. Don't waste your breath on this. There's an obvious answer. That's so. Let us be the judge of that. This case is going to be difficult, but we need to try. Though I desperately wish this wouldn't happen again. A culprit must be found. First things first. We can't ignore the fact that Sei was right in the middle of the crime scene, drenched in blood, presumably from the victim himself. It is ineffable, the sheer amount of evidence proving that you are at fault for this. Make your own judgment. Fine. There's no way around the fact that no one else could have killed Forte, but I suppose I'll entertain you. Let's clear up everyone's alibi. When the 6 of us split up, the 2 groups were as follows. Missy, Forte, and Sei went to investigate the floors we've seen. Canon, Echo, and I went to investigate beyond the foyer doors. Here is when Gaia's statement will prove useful. Yeah. Me, Lyle, and Canon were together with her for a majority of the afternoon, down in the testing chambers. That is correct. I have not left the testing chambers since my release. As for supporting Lyle and Echo's statement, I did not see anyone leave the testing chambers. Nevertheless, I unfortunately took no notice of when Canon supposedly left. Yeah. Canon, you managed to slip out unnoticed while Lyle and I spoke to Gaia. Where did you go? I had to step out. Step out? And where to? Back to the main wing so you could sneak around and plot something on your own? Canon in the main wing? If she were involved in Forte's murder, she never made herself known during our journey. The three of us didn't see a trace of her as we explored the rooms, and only the three of us went up in the elevator before Forte's demise. So only the three of you went up. Missy, is there anything else you can tell us about your group's exploration? Forte is no longer with us, and Sei is obvious culprit number 1. And Sei might be unreliable. Doesn't the blood speak for itself? Sei. One moment. I hate to commit to a conclusion so hastily, so I would like to know what occurred leading to the events that caused my side of the investigation to unravel so grievously. The three of us moved as one unit into the main wing for the entirety of our investigation. Like I said, we all entered the trial grounds together. And? Well, I cannot speak more plainly about what occurred after, though I wish more than anything it were untrue. But that wish is nothing but dust. The slash that has been carved in proves this. Sei turned the dagger on me. Clear as day, Sei Kono is the culprit behind Forte Solo's murder. Hold it. If you asked me to act right now, I wouldn't lay a vote against Sei. I was the only one present when she made her assault. I should know what her motive to cause harm was, and I say it was not with murderous intent. Sei still harmed you, though. The action alone could be indicative of more. Case in point, the very poignant murder of Forte. Are you protecting her? What do you even have to gain from doing something like that? Hang on. If Missy has an explanation, we should hear her out. I'm still apprehensive about voting too quickly, especially when we haven't established any rhyme or reason. Indeed. My testimony is not driven by a want to gain anything, except the truth. Would I not be endangering myself if I voted against Sei? Ugh. I see where this is going. Knowing how tiresome you all are, you want to dig for a reason behind these sort of things despite seeing the conclusion could not be more telling. Fine. Let's talk motivation. Just cut to the chase, will you? Would be helpful. After all, Zero explicitly delivered motivations in targeted ways over the course of the afternoon. Motivation. What could have caused Sei to turn the dagger against Missy and possibly against Forte as well? And did hearing the other motivations cause someone else to behave differently? That's interesting. I don't know. Hopefully in turn, we might also get an answer to Lyle's question of what Missy might have to gain if she potentially were protecting Sei. Let's see what everyone has to say about their specific motives. My motive? The photograph. My motive, along with Cannon's, was delivered shortly after our two groups parted ways. Photograph, the bloodied portrait of a friend, whom the dagger once belonged. Say, the announcement didn't direct any sort of gift to you. That's right. And Lyle, your motive, it was the blackout, a result of my fear of the dark. Let's see what everyone has to say. No, I didn't look at it. Do you want us to suspect you? For all we know, you could have been planning something from the moment you received the photograph. Well, hang on. Missy said she didn't see Cannon around. It's not fair to call Cannon the culprit right away. I still think there's something strange about her not being around when the lights went out. Though she claimed that she didn't look at the motive photograph, Annan's absence during a majority of the afternoon was concerning. Okay. True. Forte's Solomon song was announced first, and Say's announcement of nothing followed shortly. Did she react to the message in any way? She didn't react in any particular manner, no. Thing is only fitting for me. Is that... Oh. It's possible that Say being left out might have left an impression. Okay. Am I supposed to... He withdrew the sheathed dagger she clung to after the second trial. I admit, I was overcome with a zealousness to confront the one we call Puppet Master, pinning the mocking photo on the wall outside the elevator with the dagger. How the dagger ended up on the trial grounds is the murder weapon. I can only suspect that Say discreetly retrieved it from the wall and concealed it on her person before attacking me, in a state of panic. So, able to trace the dagger's origin to you, but you claim to have left it as a wall adornment in the elevator. Correct. I still wasn't sure if I could write off the conditions of Missy's wound just yet, but Missy not initially taking the dagger with her into the trial ground seems intentional somehow. Darkness. I wasn't aware something like that occurred. Yeah, but if you don't have any remembrance of it, it might have lasted for the duration of when you were knocked out. I see. What does my motive have to do with the case anyway? We already discussed that me, Echo, and Gaia were all together on the floor beneath the foyer, nowhere near the trial grounds. Well, we have to assume it affected the entire building, and that the group upstairs also lost their visibility. The darkness occurring has to have some bearing to the timeline of events. Say, do you recall a blackout occurring? Yes. Can't believe I still have to ask, but care to elaborate at all? It's unimportant. That's so. But during the moment before Gaia found the flashlight, it was too dark to even see my own hand in front of my How would it have been possible for anyone to do anything without visibility? Based on the murder scene, we had a glaringly obvious culprit. But none of us could understand why Say would act in such a way. To make things more confusing, Say's the only one without properly delivered motive. The timing and respective intensity of each individual motive. It must create oh my god. Volatility in our headspaces, as far as I can tell. It's a little tough to follow which ones are and aren't relevant. Though, now that I think about it, what if announcing them was the purpose of the motives? What? Announcing the motives? But why would someone else's motives affect anyone but the person it was meant for? Well, I mean, I was just thinking, I didn't receive a personalized motive either, but to hear that everyone got something that would try to provoke them to murder, wouldn't that be frightening? To hear who has motives and a reason to kill, you'd feel tormented that others could turn on you. That's all I can think of. Say received her motive last, at least before Lyle's blackout. In that case, we're back to square one. Say is the culprit. You just explained a reason why she would be motivated to kill, despite not having a personalized motive herself. She heard all the motives previous to hers and must have been shaken by the potential of everyone turning on her. Well, it's possible, but... No buts. You need more proof? Let's move on. With the advent of Missy's claim and Say's attack in mind, the next topic is obvious. That is, the state of Forte's body. Yeah, the victim report was extremely unspecific. More than the previous. Vague on purpose, more likely. There was an insurmountable amount of stab wounds in his abdomen, likely from the dagger before it was finally stuck in his body. Stabbed? I thought... Cannon quickly went silent. Something you want to share? Oh, that's right. Cannon, you didn't even see the body, did you? No, I didn't see the body. Then, is something wrong? Nothing's wrong. Then why are you so shocked that Forte was stabbed? You clearly know something. I'll ease back. But please, Cannon, if you notice something odd, we need your help. Something odd. Something odd. My help? I shot Forte. Huh? What did you just say? Huh? You did what? Cannon? That's what you were up to. You better explain yourself. Not only was the revolver out of Missy's hands when we went to meet up with her, but you also have no alibi whatsoever. I would hope Cannon isn't as contemptuous as the person you think she is to deny information as critical as this when cornered. But I must know as well. When did you come to the foyer? And to what end did the revolver's last bullet entreat to have finally been spent? Why does she talk like that? Sometimes I'm just like, Missy, can you not talk like that? I mean, honestly. Cannon freely admitted that she caused harm to Forte, but to know why she meant to do such a thing caused an anticipation to rise in my chest. I've been suspicious of Say for a while. I had either a strange intuition or just another strain of bad luck to lead me on. What made me act was finally seeing the mystery announcer in the testing chambers. Echo and Lyle discovered Gaia, the voice behind Eve, so naturally, the other encapsulated person must be Say's connection. But what made you suspect Zero and Say had a connection to begin with? I noticed her reaction at the first Killing Game announcement. She was transfixed on that voice, as if she heard it before. It's a small detail, but I couldn't shake it. From day one, I've only ever been suspicious of her. By laying low, she was playing the long game. But that plan had to backfire eventually, right? So I slipped out while Gaia, Echo, and Lyle were talking. I had to investigate my apprehensions about her. Returning to the foyer, I moved warily, but I didn't find any trace of them on the first floor. The only thing I found was a photo on the floor and a puncture mark on the wall near the elevator. I just missed them. I noticed the elevator was at the trial grounds. I called for the elevator to follow after. Upon arrival, the doors opened and Missy was suddenly flung into the elevator cab with me. She just dropped in, bloodied, and her head hung low. I thought she might have been dead. I looked in to see who was her assailant and saw Say and Forte in the middle of a struggle. Even though Forte had a dagger in his hand, Say was the one with blood all over her hands. He must have pulled the weapon away from her just after her attack. My suspicions my suspicions about Sei were confirmed. She was under our noses the whole time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Missy's revolver had fallen out of her coat pocket. I grabbed it and didn't think twice. I fired towards Sei. Well, I thought I... The lights went out seconds after, and I couldn't see where my shot landed. I couldn't run in and check either, since the elevator shut in my face and mechanically returned me and Missy to the foyer. I ran. The shot was fired, Missy was unconscious, and a blackout overtook everything. Does that statement... Oh. There we have it, a confession. What? Wait. Wait for what? Is there any reason for us not to accept this as the truth? Well, no, but Cannon said she fired the revolver. A gun wound? Where? And that doesn't explain the lacerations. We can't ignore the one thing the Monokuma file detailed for us. There has to be some relevance. It's within reason for me to doubt that fact, right? Oh, I can explain them. What? How? Because I stabbed him in the abdomen after he was shot. What? Why? There's no use hiding it. Truthfully, I couldn't believe it at first, but seeing how desperate she was, I ultimately wanted to help Cannon escape. Huh? After I witnessed Cannon shoot Forte from the elevator, he fell quickly, and I saw his bracelet turn pink. I realized that because she wasn't with Lyle or Echo, Cannon would be the most likely implicated as the culprit. So I did what I had to do. I stabbed Forte's body several times near the gunshot wound to conceal it, making it look like he had died of blood loss from lacerations rather than the shot. And since I was the only one on the trial grounds, the blame would be redirected to me. Wait, but she... Was there a gunshot wound on him? I mean, he was bleeding on the back of his head, but if he was shot in the head, we would have known. After all, Cannon wants to leave just as much as any of us. Why not give her the advantage? What? No way. So Cannon became the culprit without even seeing her victim fall. Is that it? I can't argue with that. I didn't even see whether or not he died. But you're just going to accept it? All I know is that I fired a shot and somebody ended up dead. What else is there to say? And unfortunately, as far as we know, the surrounding conditions of Forte's death are indisputable. And Sei is the only eyewitness. But is that really all there is to it? Given that I ultimately wound up in the foyer, it stands with reason that Cannon indeed visited the trial grounds, causing the elevator cab to go up and bring me back down after the assault. And you witnessed that I did not find the revolver on my person after I woke. I can't argue with that, but... listen to you. It's all been laid out on the table. I'm not hiding anything this time. You want to keep going with this discussion because the truth is hard to swallow? Is that it? I have news for you. These trials are full of impossible to accept facts. I'm sorry for continuing in this vicious cycle. So won't you just allow me to leave with whatever's left of my dignity? Just let me receive punishment already. No, that's not it. I just... If there's something bothering you, just spit it out already. I couldn't help but think there was something missing. I was racking my head for an answer, for something. This story just feels off to me. I don't know why. Everything is out in the open. What else is there to deliberate? Nothing. Don't be a coward and just vote me off already. If there is no proof of another culprit, then you're just endangering yourself with an incorrect vote. I'm sure there's something else we can talk about that can save you. Kenan, don't you care that you could be executed? Of course I care. But who am I to argue with these facts? They're impossible to dispute. It's my punishment, isn't it? It's only fair that I get what I deserve. I can't fight it. I don't know what to think. None of us had an inkling of what truly occurred on the trial grounds. Anna admitted that she shot Forte. Zay claims that the shot was what killed him. Zay masked the gun wound by stabbing Forte several times, allowing Cannon a clean getaway. But since Cannon already confessed, there was no reason for Zay to keep secret the fact that she disturbed the crime scene, making it appear the way it did. All I could do was take their word for as truth. Right? No, I don't trust a single one of these people. Cannon and Zay's testimonies were the only things that we had to work with, yet I couldn't help but feel like there was much more to this. I was struggling to find the truth in this trial, but would it lead me to a dead end? A dead end? Missy said something like that when I went with her and Forte the first time. We ran into a dead end of sorts when we were investigating the courtroom. We couldn't find Zero or any other hints. And then we were all killed, one by one, shortly thereafter. But something inexplicable occurred as my consciousness faded. I returned to the time before we split into two groups. This time, when I went with Lyle's group, I had information I never could have known if I didn't go with Missy's group first. I knew the testing chamber's code somehow, and that Pandora's incubated sister was Gaia, the ultimate cartographer. Was it possible that I needed to pursue this dead end? What? What? I grit my teeth. I had an absurd idea. This discussion is over. There's nothing wrong. Cannon is the culprit. I looked over at my classmates, who all had the same painted, startled expression at the finality of my decision. All of them were shocked, except Zay. That's right. Nothing is wrong. Zero silently obliged, calling forward the vote screens to the other students. Everyone was dumbfounded, but with no other option laid before them, only one vote was to be made. Cannon. I want to vote for Zay. This is weird. What's going on? I don't understand what's happening.
Off with us,
I don't know how to say that, okay?
Cannon. Thank you all for your hard work.
The room shook as the walls behind Cannon opened to reveal its dark depths. Cannon herself simply turned from her place at the stand and walked into the shadow. This is it. Led from the stand, my feet pounding as they carried me toward the hallway beyond the walls. What on earth are you doing? I paid no attention to Gaia's call. I was pursuing that dead end. I slipped in, Gaia's startled exclamation along with the other shocked cries echoing through the halls just before the walls shut. My head was thrashing from fear. Each breath I took was heavier than the last. I threw myself into an execution. What? Cannon! I cautiously stepped forward. A veil of darkness caused me to lose all my bearings. Echo? What the hell are you doing here? I blindly chased after Cannon's voice, each step taking enormous effort as I fought against all my instincts of self-preservation. This isn't right. What do you mean? You all voted for this. This is my punishment, isn't it? I was closing in on her.
That's right. This is your punishment. This is everyone's punishment.
Wait, what? Whirring machinery clicked into place as bursts of light flooded the room. The powerful lights bled through my closed eyelids, burning the back of my head. With each flash, the sound of an object darting through the air hit the floor before us, each shot approaching our very location. No, 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 no! Cannon's cry pealed out amidst the sound of gunfire. Oh my god. Oh my god. Cannon! All I could see between the firing flashes were the silhouettes of her body convulse violently, each hit pulling her body apart. A sharp object narrowly darted past me, tearing through my coat and breaking skin. Blood began to ooze from the cut. I heard Cannon collapse before me. I started toward the sound and tried to find her, guiding my hand through the darkness in vain. Pinpricks met my hand. Needles? I felt around at the ground and picked one up. It was a small, near-invisible thing on its own, but when shot through at high speeds, the needles became lethal. Another series of flashes fired up, blinding me. Between flashes, I saw the mangled body that used to be Cannon, now a disfigured, bloody mess. The metallic taste of blood filled my mouth and I began to choke. Sharp pain melted its way through my throat. I buckled immediately. Pangs of anguish overwhelmed my senses. If I was wrong about this, if I was terribly, absurdly, ridiculously wrong, then I just put my life in danger for nothing. But... following this dead end, there has to be something strange. I lost my grip on the situation. I only felt pain. Terrible sensation sank into my blood. An inflaming ache rushed through every inch of my body. If there's something bothering you, just spit it out already. Echo, why are they going back in time? What is happening? I gasped at my throat. My skin was undamaged. Only the startling phantom pain of a needle that pierced my throat remained. I wiped the sweat from my brow and met the gaze of the concerned faces staring back from my exclamation. Cannon, alive once more, rivaled my panicked gaze with her own stoic expression, just a few feet away from me. She was still waiting for our vote. Are you okay? Swallowing hard, I finally realized the purpose of these harrowing, strange occurrences. They gave me a glimpse of everything that could go wrong. Somehow, I had managed to escape death twice. Why was I able to experience an alternate history like that? I couldn't begin to fathom an explanation. I was trembling. My heart was hammering in my chest. But if this were anything like the moment before entering the testing chambers, I steadied my breathing. There had to be something useful in that moment of time between coming to a consensus on the culprit and being executed. If I gather what I learned from the two occurrences ending in death, perhaps I can put together a picture of what could have occurred. As far as the group was aware, the only clues we had to work with were on the crime scene, and there wasn't many to begin with. Porte's body had multiple lacerations clustered in one area, due to, say, hiding the gunshot wound inflicted by Cannon. He also had a small pool of blood near the back of his head. However, the other source of blood near the back of his head was what bothered me. Nothing clearly visible caused the injury. I didn't know how to explain the life-saving phenomenon I just experienced. But I knew I had to take the opportunity it gave me to find the truth. Look, I still don't know. I still don't think we have the full picture. Please, I can't vote for Cannon. So you're implicating that Say as well. Not exactly, but her presence is important. If you think something's missing, then just shout it out. We won't know what's going on in that head of yours if you keep stopping the trial for no reason. That's the problem. I don't know where to start. I couldn't sway the group with the absurd notion that Cannon would be wrongfully executed. I couldn't have the means to explain how I knew such a thing. I just think we ought to continue deliberating the details. There's something bothering me. If you could just entertain me with this, I'd like to further address the lacerations. While Cannon admitted she shot Forte, she didn't know where. She didn't know whether or not it was the shot that killed him for certain. I saw her shoot him. But let's say that the shot itself didn't kill him right away. As far as I could tell, the stab wounds and the subsequent hidden gun wound weren't near his vitals. They were around his lower abdomen. And remember, the condition for lifting the darkness was to kill. Cannon, when did the lights go out? They went out seconds after I fired and just before the elevator doors closed on me. The elevator was still working though. I couldn't see a thing, but I felt the cab move, bringing me back down to the foyer without a hitch. After I arrived on the foyer level, I waited out the darkness in the elevator cab before running off to the atrium. She waited out the darkness, and the darkness fell seconds after she fired. Lyle, we were just immobilized in the testing chambers as Cannon was in the elevator cab and had to wait the darkness out as well. So, that means Forte wasn't killed instantly. Say must have taken advantage of his injured state, taken the dagger from him with little resistance, and retaliated. He must have fallen weak from Cannon's chance shot, and when the lights went out, Say stabbed him, finishing off Lift the Darkness. In that case, what you said about covering for Cannon was a lie. So you really stabbed Forte to death? Yes, he knows it. Cannon saw it too. I turned the dagger on Missy first. She had the scar that proves it. Forte would be next. What are you talking about? I only saw Forte with the dagger, facing off against you. Then when did Say acquire the dagger? If Forte didn't push Missy away in time, she would have fallen instead. No, you can't mean that. And why not? I planned that attack after I saw you pin the dagger into the wall. I took it. If you were planning to attack, why didn't you do so sooner? You had a perfectly opportune time when we were all in the elevator going to the trial grounds. You're asking me why I didn't attack sooner? What was supposed to stop you? It's clicking by itself. Am I on auto? What just happened? I missed that whole thing. We're not getting anywhere like this. But this is discussion. It is impossible to make heads or tails of it. We had a culprit pinned from the start, Say. But we drew out the trial only for Cannon to take ownership of a hidden gun wound, and now we're really back at square one. Say met the requirement for lifting the darkness and hid the gun wound so we would vote wrong. Neither me, Missy, nor Echo were at the scene. So, basing our conjecture on the testimonies of the two most suspicious people it's impossible. Damn it. How can we possibly find the truth based on their word and word alone? I understood Lyle's frustration, but barring all discussion so far, there has always been an obvious culprit staring right at our face. Something inside me kept resisting the easy answer. I simply couldn't accept Say as the culprit. I had to think. Those strange occurrences ending in death, I learned something I normally would not have. With no tangible proof of what I needed to express, I put faith in the facts learned from my memories of the events, hoping something would work out. I put my faith in believing no one here could kill. Not after what happened twice already. Just why did I experience those strange occurrences? In the two scenarios, my life was gravely threatened. And yet, as I stood here with the memories of those events, after all, they had to happen for a reason, right? It was far-fetched, but I had to utilize what I learned, with hopes that the facts learned would guide me in the right direction. What is this, Hangman's Gambit? I have to think about what I've come to know. The information I learned from when we visited Cyrus's room. It was about the killing game. The game was an experiment to see who would survive and win, to overcome other ultimate students. In the game, participants were paired with each other, with other close students to create friction between relations. The game was set up to sow chaos and disorder. Sei was listed alongside the former student Akihiko now known as Zero. After Missy, Forte, and I came to a dead end in our search, we discovered Cannon had been killed. Missy and Forte slowly fell after that. Then I, the last one standing, heard the voice of the assailant, Say. She pleaded for escape, but in my near-death haze, I could recall Zero himself telling Say, "You don't want the prize," that even after eliminating everyone, killing wasn't the answer. I was whisked back in time somehow, back to the decision that would bring me to this point, alive. Those were the things I learned before falling to my demise, falling for a sparse moment, that is. Finding new life mysteriously breathed into me, I wandered a different path, utilizing information that I learned from my previous experience. And that information had led me, us, here to contemplate another murder. Foolish to think that the experience would be my last, as I would come to relive near death once again when our discussion became deadlocked. This time, I risked emulating the strange dead-end occurrence to pursue the thing I believed was missing from Forte's murder. It was a brief experience, but I saw the method Zero used to dispose of Cannon, small, near-invisible needles at high speed, and little else before running here. The truth felt close, but I felt an apprehension rising in my chest. Say, tell me, what happened after Cannon shot Forte? Happened? I stabbed Forte. How many times do I have to tell you? You stabbed Forte, but did you kill him? Isn't it obvious? It's not. Cannon claims that before she shot you, Forte was the one in possession of the dagger. The lights went out shortly after, and from that point no one can really say who had the dagger. And though the dagger was plunged into Forte's abdomen, giving us the impression that it was the murder weapon, I can't help but think otherwise. Primarily because of the scenario we found ourselves in. There was constant pressure put upon us, which personalized motives spread throughout our exploration. That is, until Lyle's final personalized motive. With a heavy darkness to stoke our fear, we would be scrambling until someone acted maliciously from the previously set pressure. But I couldn't even see my own hand in front of my face, let alone begin to think of a plan to kill and get away with it. So to carry it out to fruition would be near impossible. If the entire building was indeed plunged in such thick darkness, I can't help but think, how could any of us have killed Forte? That's interesting phrasing. Yeah, what are you on to? Recall when our group split, Zero mentioned something interesting.
So you all decided to split up, huh? That's alright. No sweat off my back, figuratively speaking, obviously. Thanks to your fancy bracelets, I can still locate you wherever you are. There's no escaping for you quite yet.
It seems he is able to know our whereabouts within the building. In this case, he was able to locate us from our bracelets. Are you implying that Zero has taken moves to actively, though discreetly, participate in the game with us? There's no going back. Yes, I believe Zero might have had a hand in killing Forte.
Huh?
That's nonsense. Have you lost your mind? Where are you getting this theory? I know you want us to entertain you, but this is a little much, isn't it? Lyle, please, I know this is a lot to ask, but I want you to trust me.
I'd like to hear where you're getting this funny idea as well, Echo.
Lyle's intense leer burned through me, but he fell silent and allowed me to continue. He must be observing my next unpredictable move, just like when I suggested knowing the testing chamber's code. Zero idly gazed back at me, a complete poker face masking whatever scheme he was plotting. I felt a strange sense of conviction that connecting an execution method with the mysterious pool of blood that was behind Forte's head would lead me to the answer I was seeking. I had to use what I learned from Cannon's execution dead end. The fact that Zero prepared a barrage of needles. It's like Missy said, the more he talks, the faster his options will If Zero's readying himself for an explanation, This was my opening to draw something out of him. Zero, I want the truth. The truth that you're the one behind this.
The truth? Let's see if you can find it. You're making a ridiculous accusation, you know. How could I possibly have killed a student? I can only operate when within the courtroom.
Zero is goading me. His voice is unwavering. But there's a statement somewhere that I can use. And ridiculous. How could I possibly have killed a student? Yes, as far as we've seen, you can only operate from within the courtroom. But that's where the body turned up, isn't it? That much was obvious. The announcement summoned us to the courtroom, and there's no evidence of the crime being moved from one place to another.
What weapon do you suppose I could have killed him with? The only weapon available was the dagger. Say admitted to using it. And I definitely didn't electrocute or use supersonic on anyone this time around. Face it, there's nothing in the courtroom that shows I had anything to do with this.
Location. It's supposed to be. It's true that there was nothing in the courtroom. But there are things beyond the courtroom walls. Namely, the tools used for execution that you clearly have some agency over. You conveniently omitted the cause of death because it would have implicated someone not from our group. Based on what everyone else knows, it sounded far-fetched, but to me, it was the only thing that made perfect sense. Zero seemingly had no power in the courtroom, proven by the fact that during the past 2 trials, the hologram's purpose had been purely cosmetic. That said, the machinery hiding behind the trial walls themselves could very well suffice not only as tools for executions, but for the murder in and of itself.
That's how it's gonna be, huh? So, are you implying I took Forte behind the walls, executed him, and dumped his body back out? Why wouldn't I just, execute him and leave his body for the rest to be punished by students? He didn't do anything to receive an execution anyway. I'm not so heartless, you know.
You're missing a piece in your argument. Echo, this discussion is going nowhere. What would Zero have to gain from participating?
I have nothing to gain from intervening. And, in my position, I certainly have nothing to lose.
If the ultimate prize is so desirable that even an arbiter of the game would want to win it, why didn't Zero simply eliminate us from the start? Lyle brought up a good point. I haven't unearthed anything useful from Zero yet. And it's within reason that if Zero wanted the prize as well, we wouldn't have survived this long. So, there has to be a reason why. Echo, this discussion is going nowhere. What would Zero have even have to gain from participating?
I have nothing to gain from intervening. I have nothing to lose.
Hang on. Nothing to lose. The location and method were clear to me, but the motivation stumped me. I had to concentrate. If Zero truly had nothing to gain by executing us all, why did he only now carry out a plan to murder one of the game participants? If he had nothing to gain, there must be something he didn't want to lose. Something he wanted to keep. Something, or someone. He's protecting Sei. He's protecting Sei. That's what's happening. Oh my gosh. Someone. Zero and Sei. They have some sort of connection. That very connection could become the motive I'm looking for. Cannon noted that seeing Forte with the dagger last, just before the lights went out, since Sei is unscathed, and the room showed no signs of a gunshot in the wall, it's clear Forte must have taken a hit. If Forte had the dagger the entire time, he could have used it against Sei, and if Zero were observing his offense against her, then he would have reason to consider Forte a threat to Sei. That has to be it. It's impossible for me to assert with any certainty what exactly occurred in the courtroom. However, I can think of a reason why it happened. You're right. And it's not for the ultimate prize. Like Lyle said, if the ultimate prize was so desirable, why wouldn't Zero get rid of us all from the beginning? In that case, winning the ultimate prize has nothing to do with why Zero acted. Although he isn't strictly a participant, he's still involved. That involvement, there's something connecting us as the participants to him as an overseer. Lyle, you have something very important that will complete the picture. The note. It reads, "If you recognize one of the symbols depicted, then you have finally found me and are safe. Please do not speak of the note's existence. Trust no one but yourself." Lyle discovered this note in the pantry after seeing Sei duck in there for a brief moment. Sei must have known something as early on as the third day. No, even earlier, since Zero's emblem was shown on the second day. It's like Canon said. When the Killing Game announcement came on, Sei must have been clued in on the person behind it. She's known all this time, played us for fools by ducking out of confrontation. Sei is the other insider. Her student profile didn't explicitly document any involvement in the game, but her files were paired along with Akihiko's, the one we currently call Zero. On the second day, when Zero summoned us to the atrium to present a special gift, this note must have been it. Based on what we know, it's now clear that Sei must have some insight on who Zero is. However, instead of thinking Sei was a spy within our ranks, conniving with Zero to plot against us, Zero is the one trying to bridge the gap between participant and arbiter to intervene with Sei's safety. Huh? Wait. But even if that's the case, why would Sei go out of her way to direct the attention of implicating herself as the culprit? Isn't that action in diametric opposition to what you're implying? No, I killed Forte. He deserved it after all. She would be forsaking her own safety by placing the blame on herself, the false culprit, causing us to vote incorrectly, and inevitably causing us all to die. Zero has nothing to do with it. What Sei did to Forte during this trial, was of her own volition, shattering the connection between her and Zero. If he killed to keep her safe, she completely threw the sentiment out the window. I'm the only culprit. Vote for me! Well, Zero, what do you have to say about this?
You'll never know the answer if you don't vote. Sei confessed, so what's stopping you from accepting her judgment as truth? You want to believe in your friend, do you?
What's stopping me? I want to believe that she could never do something like that.
That's it? Just like your completely out of this world conjecture about me interfering, you have no tangible basis to trust her either. Such irresponsible thinking could lead you to an execution, you know.
Zero wasn't going to be shaken so easily, but the fact that his arguments are lofty and just as intangible gave me some solace that I could turn the trial around. I could do so by focusing on the subject of his motivation. Say, I'm not going to vote for you. You're the only one who knows what happened for certain. So please, tell us why. Why are you trying so hard to make us vote incorrectly? You can't possibly want us all to get executed, do you? That's exactly what I want. Complete execution! What? Girl. Even though Canon admitted to something she didn't do, I went with it for the sake of redirecting the vote. Regardless if you voted for her or voted for me, it was going to be wrong and we'd all face execution. And we would finally be freed from this horrible game. Say, you can't possibly believe leading us to our demise is the right answer. Why not? I hate it. I hate it. Pandora's gone. Art is gone, Cyrus is gone, Ashley is gone. Now Forte is gone. Because of me. I can't stand any of this. The pain and the suffering. It's endless. Zero killed Forte to protect me, but I don't care. I don't know who Zero is anymore. I came all this way to find the shell of someone I knew. When will this nightmare end? When can we escape? Even if we don't kill, someone dies and we're still stuck. We're trapped, and I'm tired of believing in something that will never happen. I have nothing to lose and nothing to gain. Why keep going? What's the point of fighting? Everyone is slipping out of my fingers, and I'll be left alone. Alone? Say, look around you. You're not alone. What? You say you have nothing left to lose. But what about the people standing before you? You aren't enduring the pain, the guilt, the torment of surviving for nothing. Endurance? Survival? Please, we can figure this out together. It's pointless at the 11th hour. So what? Our endurance is worthless. Say is spiraling. I need to convince her that she's not alone. That this fight is worth fighting. How do I do this? I don't know how to do it. It didn't tell me how to do it. Hello? Oh, I have to click it a lot. The cycle will continue endlessly. But a complete execution won't solve the problem. There's another way out. I'm certain of it. There must be, so please help me. No, I can't. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. This is a nightmare. Let me go. Forget. I want to stop this game too, but we shouldn't forget the turmoil our friends went through. Pandora, Art, Cyrus, Ashley, Forte. We can't simply abandon our memories of them in the past. I'm not going to stop the game by voting for you. I'm not going to abandon my memory of you either. But I don't understand. After what I've done, it's hopeless, significant, a waste. Hopeless. That's not true. The truth of hopelessness was staring us straight in the face. There was no denying it. But I felt a desire to combat the terror that hung over us. And above all, after experiencing what Sei did to us, out of desperation, I felt a responsibility to vouch for her innocence, the only way I knew how. Sei, you're not alone. You're here with us, as our friend. And you're not alone in feeling scared and hopeless. Everyone's trying their best to keep their head above the water. I don't know what will happen after this, or if we'll even make it out, but we have to try. I did a horrible thing to Forte. Isn't this ending what I deserve? It's not your fault. How can you know that? I believe you. Please. I don't want to see us go through anything like this again, so you're the only one who knows for certain who the culprit is. The game will surely be over after we uncover this last truth. After all, you didn't kill Forte. How could I? Of course I didn't kill him. I was so scared. Echo was right about the other motives. The fact that, little by little, everyone was pushed some way or another into distress. I felt the pressure mounting. It was to know what sort of motive would be delivered. I took the dagger to protect myself. I couldn't possibly know what was going on in anyone's head after the motives, could I? I wasn't even relieved that I didn't get a motive because I couldn't help but think about everyone else's. Everyone would be given a reason to turn on one another. And when Forte said he would take matters into his own hands, I feared for my life. I froze after I slashed at Missy and he overtook the dagger. What Cannon saw was only half the story. He did appear to have the advantage over me, but it was just a performance. A performance for the only possible person in the audience. Lights went out.
Darkness. Lyle's gift, direct from his fears to you. Only murder will lift the darkness.
What the? Forte and I were plunged into a never-ending darkness. Even though I hadn't moved, I couldn't tell where the floor was. Somehow he found me. Don't move a muscle. It seemed he quickly took action to meet the darkness lifting condition. Finally, Forte had the dagger pointed at my throat. I could feel the chilling cold steel just inches away. Finally, I thought time had stopped. Forte was still as stone, the dagger poised for me, and he whispered something so low, I thought I imagined it. A stage where every man must play a part, and mine a sad one. He stabbed himself. Then Forte just fell. When the lights returned, I saw his body lying face up. A small pool of blood was forming behind his head. I looked up to see the trial grounds walls close steadily, and the Zero hologram with this awful, satisfied expression made a gesture like he was holding an invisible camera. And Zero clued me in on who he was, going to mark as the culprit. Even though Zero killed Forte himself, Zero planned to manipulate the outcome of the trial. I could see the trial play out in my head. Forte's gun wound would have been the decisive clue, and the pool behind his head probably thought to be just from the falling impact. I couldn't believe it. Forte was killed because of me, and Cannon was going to be framed because of me. I picked up the dagger Forte dropped. The true culprit was never going to be found. I was going to make the trial easy and direct the blame toward me, so the wrong vote and executions following could happen right away. Oh man, this is intense over here. I'm like, oh. Then we wouldn't have to suffer a long trial. And this dreadful game could finally come to an end. After all, it's my fault Forte was pushed to do a thing to himself. Killing is the only answer here, so he was forced into a corner, using me as bait to sacrifice himself to Zero. He went through those lengths for me? Why didn't he just kill me and be done with it? I couldn't understand what had happened. So I thought I could leave the trial and do an incorrect vote, and then the game would end without me having to do that terrible thing. And we'd be freed from this trap. But Zero saved me. He took you out of harm's path. At least that's what he thought he was doing. Say, you knew what he was trying to manipulate the blame off you. So why did you still try to direct the vote to yourself? Because I have nothing else to look forward to. I ended up here for one reason or another, and the signs have pointed towards demise. Because of that, whoever that Zero is, he isn't my friend anymore. And now, I have nothing. Hey, you must know by now that we're here for you. He's right. We've been trapped. That much is certain, but we're not isolated. We have each other. And together we can help each other build up hope for escape. You don't need to act alone. Akihiko, we both wanted to save someone. You don't truly think this was the answer, do you? Manipulating the trial like this, it's unruly.
Akihiko isn't here anymore. Since giving himself up to the game, his consciousness has been long gone. Akihiko is so disillusioned by the way he and his fellow ultimates were treated. He dropped everything and let himself be consumed with despair. It's pathetic. It's poetic, isn't it? He gave himself up because this game was the only thing he could cling to. It gave him purpose. In fact, Gaia is also holding on to the killing game. Can you really trust her? After all, she oversaw the game just as I am. Before you released her, that is. And all she did was watch. Watch and let Pandora die.
You have no idea the sacrifice I went through. I seethe at the idea that you think I idled and watched her die.
Uh-huh. And what have you done since to prevent it? You didn't try to stop her assailant like I did you?
Ooh.
So, do you think Gaia is on your side? Spouting empty sentiment and rolling over, doing nothing but watch the game carelessly take lives? I'll tell you what. Your friend Gaia here did something very interesting.
Don't you dare demonize what I did.
Excuse me? I never killed anyone in my game. You, on the other hand. Why, you disgust me.
Wait. So we all know that this is like the 50th game, right? And it seems that they were both in games previously. Ooh, this is interesting.
I invited you to open the foyer doors so one of those fools could deliver your punishment. They have no reason to trust you, after all. There are no rules, save for one. Kill those. Those who kill should not get away with it. Let me give it one more try. Gaia isn't your friend. Not a chance. She has played this game once before, and will do anything to keep herself from losing going forward. And even from the winner's circle, she did what she could to gain the advantage. She's the one who trapped you in this ship.
What? Ship?
Even if someone won this game, there would be nowhere to go. You're completely sealed in. Left to die in isolation, confined in these walls. It's crazy, isn't it? In fact, trapping you all may be a ploy for her to kill again. Why not? It'll prove once more that she's deserving to be called an ultimate.
You don't understand. I did what I had to do.
Oh, of course I don't understand. You're the one giving hope to these people. Yet all you've done is cause trouble. Unfortunately for you, I control whatever occurs in this vicious circle. And I'm using this power to keep safe.
Keep me safe? You should never have brought me here in the first place.
I know. I was tricked. This game is a farce. I won the killing game that preceded this one and received the ultimate prize. The prize of a lifetime of suffering.
That is the prize? The prize. Within a group of incredibly talented individuals, should someone defeat their fellow ultimate students and come out on top, their efforts and achievements would be highly prized, wouldn't they? To see who come out on top, that was the experiment the Preservation Project was conducting. The project wanted to gather the very best of the best, for the sake of the future, as it were. The Despair program has ruined whatever semblance of Akihiko remained, creating this Zero persona. Zero was the false name you ran under in the previous game, after all. It's no surprise to me that it's being used again under the guise of a killing game operator. Despite that, Akihiko's will to protect Sei persists in the Zero memory. Forte must have taken the risks to see whether or not the entity connected to Sei would act. I hardly recognize him anymore. His voice is the same, but I don't know who that is anymore. There is no trace left.
That's right. He's in the shell of his former self. The game and all its terrors inhabit the ultimate radio host. Aki wanted to erase the wrongdoing he committed in this game and...
Oh? Is Akihiko coming through? Ready? 815165 8151650000.
Stop!
The hologram crackled in and out. The program was fighting itself right before our very eyes. What?
Your efforts are wasted! You gave yourself up to despair, and yet you still tried to deliver a signal of hope? You defied your own actions. The very self-preservation actions that saved you in the last game. What happened to selfishness? I can't tell. I'll bury you!
The arbiter we called Zero was fighting itself, its current form and a former form, trying to make sense of its own actions. What's happening? A conflict we cannot control. I have a last-ditch effort prepared. If he cannot just overcome the darkness. The lights shuddered as we watched Zero's fight unfold. The Zero entity fought its way to dominance, greeting us with a haunting grin.
Well. I guess you caught me, huh? Ha! Fine. The jig is up. I won't resist since I've been thoroughly caught in the act by, some triumph of hope or whatever nonsense you want to admit. After all, I wouldn't be doing your efforts justice to keep fighting back after you went through so much trouble. It must have been some rotten luck that got you out of this one, huh? Who are you, Echo? I don't know you. A talentless nobody managed to realize the trick I pulled off. By all accounts, you should have been executed by now. If all went according to my manipulation, Cannon would be a pincushion, and the rest of you dropped into the incinerator. Although, what's stopping me from letting that happen? I'll execute myself and bring you all with me.
Don't you dare.
This is the last show of your host, Zero, signing off with today's cast, Eternal Dead Air.
The lights bloomed violently, oversaturating the trial grounds with a blast of glaring heat. Damn it, no! A tremor tore through the room. The sound of metal creaking filled the halls, and the lights flickered dizzyingly as we all struggled to gain footing. Everyone, get down and cover your head and neck. We all dove to the floor, each quake jolting us to and fro with ease. A thunk. Shaking came down to a low rumble, and the ground eventually settled into stillness once more. The lights returned to a dim glow, and the five of us cautiously rose to our feet. The trial grounds were quiet. Where's that bastard Zero? Lyle leapt to his feet, darting around the trial grounds for sides of the arbiter. Are you all right? A concerned, static-filled hologram of Gaia illuminated the room. We're fine, no thanks to you. I'm sorry. I didn't anticipate the superstructure would have yet buckled under pressure, but seeing as Zero overlooked the systems, the adverse effect on his self-inflicted execution may have sped up the process. What are you talking about? It doesn't explain where you were and why you're never helpful. Kyle, come on. We're all fine, aren't we? Helped Cannon to her feet, as Missy did the same with Say. You okay, Cannon? A little shaky, but I'm in one piece. Thanks. Missy, Say, we're all right. That is a relief to hear. So that's it, right? Huh? Zero's gone. The game is over. We're done here, aren't we? So let's get the hell out of here. Hang on. Sure, he's gone, but there are so many more unanswered questions. First of all, He said we were on a ship. Even if we get out, we're still stuck, drifting out on the sea. If there was a wholly unknown testing chamber below us this entire time, it's within reason that there's a helm hidden somewhere as well. Gaia, was it? He said you were responsible for such a thing. Is this true? Gaia sighed. I will answer your questions in due time. For now, I would like to ask you all to rest for a spell before coming down to the testing chambers. It's been a long few days for you all. What, and you just jump ship through a concealed exit passageway while your guard is down? No way. Lyle, I understand your desire to push forward, but a break would allow us to sort through our thoughts. Please, I'm not going anywhere. I'll await your arrival. Gaia's hologram clips out as the rest of us shuffle idly. Lyle huffs and shrugs as he makes his way to the elevator. Looks like that was the end. What? There was no vote, no execution, just the end. So Zero just disappeared, that's it? It seems kind of anticlimactic to me. Right? Like, isn't that kind of anticlimactic? Although Zero's destruction proved some relief, I felt uneasy. There was still so much uncertainty that was lurking before us. I sighed. The rest of us followed Lyle into the elevator, and together we returned to the foyer. Us remaining 5 students left the trial grounds in the shadows. For good. What? That's the end? That seems so like... Chapter 4 end, 5 students remain. Seems so like... I don't know, it seems... That's the end? It seems anticlimactic. I'm a little, like, confused. Honestly. Lyle, Missy, Cannon, Say, and myself. Only 5 of us remained. Our group, cut brutally in half by the game we were forced to participate in, found its final survivors. In that very same order, we trudged out of the elevator cab and returned to the foyer. I'm going ahead. Don't wait up. I want answers. Gaia had better fess up about all this. Hang on, Lyle. I want to talk to her first. Alone. Why? I just need to know why she gave me a talent. How could she know something like that? Something I'm not even aware of. Why me? Please, I need to know what's going on. All right. But being an ultimate student isn't all that it's talked up to be. It's a world of misfortune. No. Lyle shuffled off towards the foyer door's entryway. The rest of the students stood by as well. It seemed no one else was quite ready to go down. I wondered what was going through everyone's mind right now. Alright, we'll talk to everybody in order, I guess. Say, are you okay? I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anyone cared. The only answer I could see was to have it all come to an end, once and for all. If we died, then we wouldn't have to suffer anymore. It would be an easy way out, but through that suffering, we'll find things to live for as well. I'm sorry. Again. You don't have to be sorry. I understand it must have been frightening to be alone. I mean, I'm right there with you. But we're not alone now. You have me, Lyle, Missy, Cannon. Say turned to me with a gentle smile. I returned the small gesture. We'll be okay. We'll make it out of here soon enough. It's strange. When you say it'll be okay, it feels like it could be true. But what comes next? I don't know. I want to see Ashley's father. I think I have a responsibility to tell him what happened to her. And after that... I sighed. Well, one thing at a time. Let's just try to put all of this behind us for now and focus on escaping. Say nodded. Thank you, Echo. Thanks for what?
You don't have to, but care about everyone. I can see why Ashley wanted to protect you so much.
Next, Cannon. Cannon, are you okay? I don't know. Cannon bit her nails, a sudden expression taking over. Maybe it's guilt or something, but something in me wishes I did actually kill Forte. Why? I don't want to sit with this feeling, this melancholy I'm feeling right now. I always told myself it was I was just a spectator whenever I took photos. It was just easier to detach myself from the emotion of the subject. There's something more tolerable in seeing someone else experience what is occurring in a photo. But it was thanks to you that we found the answer in those awful trials. I guess. And you didn't actually kill him with that gunshot either, so there's no reason to feel guilty. It's not that simple. I know, but you shouldn't wallow in those what-if feelings. It's too painful to just bottle it up. You helped us out a lot, really. Suppose, but I never wanted to get so involved. I never got the opportunity to do so before all this, but I wanted to apologize properly after I tore your photo. Oh, don't worry about it. In fact, just forget it. I didn't particularly like that photo anyway. No, I shouldn't have been so harsh. I stuffed my hands in my coat pocket. Huh? Somehow, I found the torn photo in my pocket. I lined the two halves together. Here, you should keep it. I know you weren't really close with anyone, but, well, I just hope you know we still think of you as a friend. Cannon carefully took the two pieces from me and sighed. Thanks. Let's get out of here alive. So the game is over. We can only assume. Gaia probably knows more about the situation, though. It gives me peace of mind to learn that none of us would perpetrate the mutual killing game. That said, she let out a weary sigh. Even my fortitude has its limits. You say that no one would perpetrate it, but Sei tried to further the game, didn't she? She went as far as to hurt you. Would you believe me if I said I didn't feel malice in her actions? Huh? Fear is a fiercely powerful tool that shakes us out of our most rational thought. The threat of life strikes the heart of any primal existence, doesn't it? Chalk it up to a knee-jerk reaction. I posed a potentially dangerous question that caused Sei to react sporadically. Remember, she did have the dagger for a period of time before our entering the trial. She could have taken any opportunity if she were driven by malice. An odd move, but it was her move nonetheless. And my move will be to forgive it. What move is next for us, do you think? Missy pondered the question for a minute. No idea. We will reach land, presumably with Gaia's assistance, and once we're there, a myriad of options are laid before us. Do we rejoin family? Do we make moves to seek out the Preservation Project group? Do we attempt to find the next of kin for those who died during the game? The future is uncertain. Yeah. If we start small, we'll know where to go next, though. Let's focus our energy on escaping first. I could not have said it better myself. Are you going or what? Yeah, I don't know what to expect. I believe Gaia will be willing to talk, if that's what you're worried about. She has been isolated in the testing chambers for what I imagine must have been a long time. Yeah, but do you think this all could have been avoided? There's no use dwelling on that now. What's done is done. We should push forward. Epilogue, burden on our shoulders.
Congratulations. The rest of the class has been eliminated thanks to your tireless efforts.
So I did it, huh?
Yes, Zero. You've won the ultimate prize. But may I ask something? Why did you use an alias?
Isn't it obvious? This game's all about distrust. A fake name to stir up trouble, of course. It was too easy.
I see. By utilizing that distrust, you've earned yourself the final prize, Zero. Or rather, Akihiko Quartz, the ultimate radio host.
I did it.
The prize is yours. You rightfully won your place and will join your friend in the winner's circle. You have become one of them.
Huh?
You have become the ultimate prize.
Hold on, what are you talking about?
Join her.
That's Gaia. This is where she's been?
She's been with us, benefiting the world.
That can't be right.
And you will become another ultimate prized student, alongside her.
No. No.
So she's just like Zero. She participated in a killing game and won it and got the quote ultimate prize only to be made into this whatever she is now.
Hey, Gaia. Oh, hello, Echo. I drifted into the testing chambers, spotting Gaia hovering over one of the capsules. A look of misery darkened her face. Are you okay? Gaia sniffed as she stared at the capsule containing Akihiko's body. It was impossible to tell if he was breathing, let alone alive. I'll be fine. I was just recalling something. Where are the others? Oh, they're upstairs. I wanted to talk to you alone. I remained silent, awaiting my next sentence. But I didn't know where to start. She noticed my hesitance and left her place in front of the capsule. She gestured for me to sit at the workstation chair as she paced slowly in front of me. You must have a lot of questions. But first, if you'll spare me a moment to share my story. I nodded. I was curious to know what possibly led her to this place. Preservation Project's killing game, known as an endeavor to create the ultimate prize. Distrust is to be expected on day one. The roster was always specifically curated to create pairs, testing the bonds between people. The crux of the game relies on broken bonds, applying pressure and motivation to spark the fire. From there, everything following will stoke the flames and catalyze. But seeing as so many of you will still survive despite the remaining time, I wonder what went differently. Nonetheless, I must say, I am pleased with the results. I realize it is very difficult to find hope in things. In the darkest times especially, is when our minds wander, thoughts lead astray, distorted by fear. As a cartographer, I create maps for the places on Earth that are far greater than my own being. The vast plains, the pulsing sea, and the tunneling caves. To search somewhere in the greater picture for an ultimate good, beyond my perceived world of existence. It's difficult. I realize Pandora and I are very different. She searched within individuals, as I searched the world. However, we were looking to spark and inspire the same thing. Hope. Despair will control your lives if you let the fear and darkness of your heart run amok. If you allow the inklings to escape, thoughts of terror will command the reins. How are we able to combat such intrusions? Well, the answer may vary wildly. Nevertheless, there are strategies in resistance. So I must admit something. The very thing that might be plaguing your concerns, your talent, the ultimate memory, I fabricated it in an attempt to foil Zero's preconceptions of the game's participants.
My eyes widened. I had no words.
The notion of an intangible talent like that was meant to play a part of a placebo in your mind. A talent Zero couldn't test the abilities of, one only you could measure. I had hoped it would give you some peace of mind, but with your worries of not belonging.
But memory?
Exactly. To give the technical term, if you had the talent pertaining to memory, you would have been properly deemed an ultimate student. What? Ultimate menomist. I don't know what that word. I don't know how to pronounce that word. However, to give I'm sorry. Some of the words in here are a bit they're a bit like I don't want to say pretentious, but a little bit. Give a title would prompt Zero to test it. I could not allow it. What kind of test would he have given? Most immediately telling test would be speed cards. You are given a deck of shuffled cards in which you recite back all 52 in order as fast as possible. You were an ultimate student. That fact would have been quickly dashed or proven with one simple test, and my counterattack against Zero would have failed. What? That said, I was purposely non-specific in bestowing the ultimate memory upon you. I had hopes it would gel with Cyrus's falsified talent of charisma. I admit it was an interesting decision he made with that one. Wait. Although I had not been speaking, I felt breathless. So, I was just a tool? I felt a stone drop in my stomach. No, a tool is a far cry from what I would call you. You exhibited a strength I did not expect, which was the ability to see through Zero's ploy. Strength? And more importantly, you saved your fellow students. You are a wild card. Or perhaps you do indeed wield a special ability. You maintained your constitution, even under immense pressure and stress. Stop! I was shocked into silence at my outburst. I understand that you must have been through a lot. I really do. But to manipulate me, us, around in this game as pawns, isn't that too cruel? Isn't that action in itself becoming just as bad as the people who trapped you here in the first place? Utilizing ultimate students as a means to an end? You are a product of their tests. You should know better than anyone than to toy with people's lives. Maya clenched her hands together and her eyes fell into a glazed state. I could see her straining to adjust her thoughts. She blinked slowly and her gaze met mine once again. I apologize. Putting you all through this, it wasn't meant to happen. It's true, I failed to cultivate the hope required to withstand pressures from the killing game. I failed Aki, the end. It's not that, I think you need to take a step back. People aren't just instruments to be molded for use. As far as I've seen, everyone here, the ultimate student notwithstanding, has the potential to inspire hope. But we won't get anywhere by recklessly pulling strings. Nor will we get any results by forcing a result. Gaia was silent and unmoving, as if she were holding her breath. I'm sorry. I never understood Pandora's methods, but I think I see now what she was doing. Her ways of inspiring hope would start small, and would crescendo and grow into something more powerful. Why did I not see it until now? It's too late to mourn the past. Perhaps some things are just meant to happen. All we can do is take small steps toward the future. Each moment after... I sighed and nodded. She fell silent again. Her expression was tight, her head wilted, heavy with regret. I returned upstairs to give Gaia some time. After a moment, I ushered the others down to the testing chambers. When I came back, Gaia was back at the workstation, focused on the monitors once more. Missy and Sei lingered through the testing chambers, anxiously looking at the containment units and monitors. Sei stiffened up before Akihiko's unit, but instead of reacting in any way, she remained unmoving. Zero said we're on a ship, yeah? So where's the bridge? Let's dock and get the hell out once for all. If we're on a ship, wouldn't the bridge be near the trial grounds? Zero did say the trial grounds was within the superstructure. HMCS Apathem is much larger than you've seen. The collection of rooms you were privy to was only within the quarter deck. There are a number of bridges scattered across the ship, as there are other rooms.
I don't care about the other rooms. Just tell us where the navigation station, command center, control room, whatever is, then. We have to steer this thing toward land so we don't die at sea. Zero said you got us into this mess, so you'd better help us get out of it. Aya was quiet. She had an apprehensive look in her eye, but remained typing at the workstation. That is, you will help us, right? Despite what she had gone through, Gaia's intentions were difficult to read. I couldn't tell whether or not she wanted to escape. Gaia directed our attention to the several monitors and pulled up several images of... Can't see a thing in these monitors. What are you showing us?
Wait, that...
Looks. Some kind of... squid? Well, that only makes sense. We are sailing on the sea. Yeah, but why can't we see anything outside? A feeling of dread froze my blood as I gazed at the near black screens. They're underwater, aren't they? They're on a submarine. There are no clear views outside because...
we are at the bottom.
What? What?
I scuttled the ship. I did what I believed would be the most beneficial thing for all of us trapped here.
Can't be. The atrium and trial grounds have both revealed the changing sky to us throughout the day.
Simple glass projections. This ship is equipped with bleeding-edge technology. It should come to no surprise, seeing as its engineer is also an ultimate student.
And how, exactly, do you think sinking us all the way was going to help? What were you really planning? To bring us to our deaths at the bottom of the sea? We've been fooled again!
It's nothing like that. That's how I prevented another group of students from falling into the hands of the Preservation Project's experiment.
Aya, tell us, what is the Preservation Project? I gulped. Even after all this time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to truly hear what the project was.
The Preservation Project, huh? It is a group that provides safe housing for ultimate students, protecting them from whatever could endanger them from utilizing their talents proper. That's what it is, between the whispers between ultimate students outside these walls. However, the truth of the matter is that everything you previously knew about the project is smoke and mirrors. The project activities, the safe house, the earthquakes themselves, it's a front for the project's true intentions, to create the ultimate student. Something of this magnitude and effect would obviously require immense resources. The people responsible for taking art under their wing lobbied for the resources necessary to pull this off. And the powers that fabricated the scenario are the product of ultimate students, just like ourselves.
How is that possible?
Thought manipulation. With the correct seeds planted, one known as the ultimate psionic was able to cause distress, pushing students toward the project's so-called safe house. The reach of their ability required two keys, something visual and something auditory.
Why does this sound so familiar to me? What? Can someone explain why this sounds so familiar? Was this in one of the other games? I don't know. It sounds really familiar to me for some reason. One of those seeds must have been the letter we all received. There was a distinct watermark at the bottom of the letter. That must have been the visual key.
And the auditory key must have been Aki's voice, passing the project information out.
Therefore, the reason why Echo wasn't aware of any of this was because they never experienced exposure to either of the two keys. I was speechless. So, it was a mistake that I was included in this group at all. But after being here to help everyone, it would be cruel to call this a mistake. Lyle and Missy took time with Gaia to survey the setting we found ourselves in. The ship, HMCS Epithem, was constructed with the vision of housing ultimate students in swaths of great comfort. The Preservation Project acquired it soon after its conception as the location for its experiment, a constantly moving location that would be difficult to reach by ordinary means. The conductors of the experiment were situated offshore to prevent loss of people in their own ranks. The game was to be remotely conducted with a proxy serving as the host. Zero occupied that service, offering himself as the side of despair after his own win. To combat their puppet strings, Gaia stripped the group of its whereabouts by taking control of their main asset and casting it far beyond their reach. Our underwater demise sat 3,000 meters beneath the pulsing icy pressure of the North Atlantic Ocean. Closest land to the shore was the shore of Greenland. The situation felt bleak, but Gaia reassured us that somehow she had prepared for this. She ideally would wish to be able to save everyone. Regardless, 5 survivors was still a victory in her eyes. Gaia's unrelenting search through the testing chamber's database revealed little about the Preservation Project's group. She was frustrated, but determined still. Though she was a winner, there had been others that had been removed from the testing chambers due to poor health and experimentation overexertion. Even among the array of winners, she had little company. 6 of us were steeped in thought as Gaia continued to employ herself in search for knowledge. It seemed that nothing damningly confidential was saved on location. Exasperated at the lack of further information of the private group that held her captive, Gaia silently threw up her arms in defeat. We should leave. There is nothing more I can do here. I wish to attack the land site and other subsequent lurking agents. I nodded. Lyle managed to stay patient this long and readied himself in anticipation to aid in proper escape. Missy returned again after a short visit to retrieve the personal files Cyrus had. Cannon was still as ever. We stood to exit the testing chambers, but Say remained lost in thought. What about him? It was clear she didn't know how to address her lost friend turned despair vessel. Gaia paused. Her heavy eyelids cast a dark, downward gaze. There is no denying it. Zero, Aki, is no longer with us. Her voice was stern. Gaia started toward the door without a break in her step. Wait. What is it? We ought to board the escape pod and make a hasty retreat. It is unwise to stay longer than we need to. I know, but don't you feel sad? After all, you're the one who had to stop him. It was my decision. I can no longer take back my actions, can I? I suppose not, but what choice did I have? There are far greater concerns that need to be addressed. I can't be burdened by such feelings, not when there's so much to be done. I know you want to push us forward, but why not take a step back and let yourself feel those feelings? I mean, you don't seem like the type to wallow in emotion, but it would be good to acknowledge the fact that you've been trapped here without help. And now we can help you, at least I want to. I myself must atone for my mistakes. I can't stop just because I regret my action. Her jaw clenched as those words escaped through gnashed teeth. Who was Akihiko? Gaia's eyes softened as her shoulders fell slack and she let out a slow sigh. Just like all the others we've lost, he was a friend. A piece of me now gone missing. These parts of me have been carved out. The parts that Pandora called her sister and the parts that Akihiko called his friend. Those pieces of me no longer exist. Death owns those memories. Her eyes glassed over in deep oblivion. Gaia, it is a dreadful thing that I forced you all into. No one else was meant to bear those horrible experiences except me. You shouldn't have to fight through these feelings alone. It's my responsibility due to my failure. Shouldn't I be the sole recipient of such consequences? I would let despair destroy me first if it meant I were able to command its damage singularly and to one and none other. Gaia, all of your efforts would be meaningless if you let yourself be killed before making any change. Indeed, such a loss would be absurd if you didn't make a significant move to stop the project that apprehended you so.
Well, I don't know what it means to you, but I still have this.
They produce a small golden disc. So, don't let despair consume you yet. We're depending on you, just as you depended on us. The room was still. I could hear the blood pumping in my ears as Gaia pondered her purposes.
Of course. Vive la guerre éternelle.
Leaving the testing chambers, Gaia led us to the elevator. Similarly to the infirmary, the opposite side of the elevator cab doors opened to reveal a long, dark hallway. The 6 of us trudged through the industrial hallway in hushed conversation. Gaia led the way, I followed close, and everyone else bunched together behind, as if they were still unsure whether Gaia was trustworthy or not. Gaia, I have to know something. Why did you nurse Ashley back to health just before her execution? You had to have known that she was the culprit, right?
I didn't wish to leave you two on poor terms.
What?
I observed, if I recall correctly, that you and Ashley were on little speaking terms just before she went to confront Cyrus.
Yeah, but
it was clear to me that Ashley was powerfully driven, that nothing would stop her when she set her mind to something. That something in this case was putting your well-being above her own. Why she did that, I of course cannot say. You ought to know better than I.
I do.
To soften the blow of the inevitable, I tried in all earnest to bring her back, to see a familiar face one more time.
Always seemed to stretch forever.
Echo. You are quite brave.
Brave?
In the past days, you stood tall against the face of so much anguish.
What are you talking about? I'm not brave. I'm just trying to fend off these awful feelings. I can't stop thinking about what Ashley did for me.
Would it not be easier to cast away the memories of those past?
Forgetting what happened here would be depriving them of their last memory. I let out a pathetic scoff. Isn't it weaker to cling to outcomes that we can't change anymore?
I wouldn't go that far. Fact remains, Pandora was inspired. She saw something special about you.
Is that so?
Like a candle, a small flame creates a vignette, salvation to cut through darkness, all while steadily burning their wax bodies away. That said, the next torch awaits even the slightest bit of fire.
We turned a corner and were met with a hatched door. I climbed into the escape pod. Is that it? Is that the end of the game? Yeah, that's the end of the game. I enjoyed it a lot. I have to admit, my favorite part of the game was the second chapter. That chapter was crazy. It was wild. I liked the final chapter as well. I did think Zero's demise was a bit anticlimactic. Like, I understood that it was because his actual personality, Akihiko, was counteracting him and stuff and doing all those things, so I understand why it was done. It just seemed like he was this big figure in all of this, and it was for what? For nothing. And he was able to disappear quite easily, you know? But overall, I really enjoyed the game. It was a really well-made fangan. I loved the art. The art was really... I liked it. Overall, I don't regret playing it. I enjoyed it a lot. And be the end. In. I'm gonna see if there's anything else at the end and scene at the end. Oh, there is. The low drone of ocean water rolling against the outer walls filled the escape capsule, causing our small group to fall silent and tense. How long has it been?
44 minutes.
It felt like an eternity had passed. Say made an inquisitive murmur as she relayed the time. Gazing at one of her wristwatches, she simultaneously caught a glimpse at the killing game bracelet. I turned the train around and noticed mine was the same. Rather than reflect the previous rose gold, our bracelets had turned a hue of pure, bright yellow gold. It seemed to notate victory from the game. No one saw any desire to make small talk during our resurfacing, as if conversation would distract from our escape. Execution hung on everyone's face. No, exhaustion hung on everyone's face. Apprehensive eyes cast a dark shadow across the metal interior. Missy let out a sharp gasp. Hey, are you okay? Everyone was alert as Missy began to shake, her breathing broken. She looked like she was in pain.
Oh no.
Oh no, what's wrong? Then everyone else started to react similarly. My head. It's killing.
No. Oh, please no.
What's going on? Not this again. I was horrified. Everyone was suffering right before my eyes. As soon as their pain began, they all fell still. No way. No way. I grabbed Cannon by the shoulders and shook her firmly. What just happened? I heard small breaths escape. I looked at the others to see what they were. But they were, fortunately, still breathing. They're okay.
This is the doing of the ultimate psionic. Their adverse reactions mirror the events that took place when they were captured in the first place. We've been trapped.
Huh? How?
Not sure. The Preservation Project must have been pursuing their wrecked ship. Zero must have sent a radio signal to the land site before I stopped him.
But how are you all right?
They must assume I'm dead. A regrettable assumption for them.
I was speechless. Just when I thought it was over, a new complication threw itself before our escape. And me? Gaia looked at me with raised eyebrows. She was surprised.
Sure. You're lucky.
Ultimate lucky student? Cannon, Lyle, Missy, and Say were all in unresponsive state. It seems they were rendered unconscious. So, what now?
There's nothing we can do to stop whatever is awaiting our arrival from discovering us. We're just going to have to resurface and see what happens from there.
So this was all for nothing. They escaped for nothing.
Prepare yourself.
Prepare myself?
Be ready for whatever happens. Do not idle when we're discovered. It's inevitable. The best thing we can do is be prepared.
I nodded. So they escaped for what? For nothing? It's true. We were going to be helpless to take action until we got out of the escape pod. I steadied my breathing and closed my eyes. I let the sound of rolling water fill my thoughts. And I racked my brain thinking about the evening. Thinking about that evening.
All right, thanks for the lift. And be careful with your ankle. I can't believe you insisted on driving even though it's broken.
It's no problem at all. Besides, my ankle is almost done healing, so it's no big deal. It's not like I drive with that foot anyway. I'm just worried since I can't walk you to the door. I wanted to see if Applejack was in a petting mood tonight.
My house is right there. You don't need to worry. And if she is, I'll make sure to give that kitty a good scratching for you.
All right, thanks. Night, Ash.
Good night, Echo.
Porch light hasn't turned on. Usually turns it on for a minute or I know she made it in, but I should get out and see what's going on. Here it is. Well, time to go back. Westbridge Stables. Hello, sir. It's Echo. I was just calling to see if Ashley got in okay. I couldn't reach her cell. Oh, hello, Echo. Why, she's just fine. I believe she's busy with a small matter at the moment, but nothing to worry about. Oh, can I ask what's wrong? Nothing is wrong. Nothing at all. In fact, it's all very good news. She was approached by a gentleman who was responding to an inquiry in regards to her horseback riding. It's a fantastic opportunity, that one. I wasn't aware she signed herself up for such a prestigious thing. I'm told that pro golfer Campapiano is going to be there. I see. It's great to hear. I am absolutely chuffed. My girl is off to do great things, I tell you. It's a winding process, I'm told, so it'll be a while yet before she'll be able to spare the time. I see. Please wish her luck for me. I will have to give her a call when she's free to hear all about it. Will do. I'm sure she'll be over the moon, talking your ear off when all the formalities have been taken care of. And Echo, I'm happy Ashley has a friend like you. Thank you for taking care of her. Oh, not a problem. It's the least I could do. Well, that's just sad knowing what happened. Thank you for playing. That's it. That's the end of the game. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of Danganronpa Lapse. I'm done. I have been sitting here forever, but I really enjoyed this game, and let me know your thoughts in the comments because I really want to know like what you also thought of this game. Like, what did you think of the last chapter? What did you think of the end? Let me know. We could talk about it in the comments. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this series with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that is. Bye bye.